Welcome to Soul Mission podcast hosted by Ayah Rashid. She's a wonderful woman, a young woman with a deep spiritual knowledge and very interesting conversation we had. Her boyfriend is a IPL cricket player, Joshua Little from Ireland.
Hello, soldiers. Welcome to another episode of Soul Mission, where we believe that each of us has a profound purpose waiting to be unlocked. I'm your host, Ayah Rashid, and if you have not yet done so, go ahead and give Mission of the Soul a follow on Instagram. Today, we are honoured to introduce a very special guest whose passion is guiding others toward inner peace, taking control of your mind to create the life you want. Our guest is a meditation philosopher who has been sharing their wisdom since 2018 and who has also authored 3 incredible books. During their journey to the Himalayas, they had the privilege of learning from self-actualized yogis, deepening their spiritual understanding and guiding them to self-actualization and inner peace. Prepare to be massively inspired as we embark on a profound exploration of the mind, the spirit, and the transformative power of self-awareness with our wonderful guest. So, as we always start every episode of Soul Mission, empower your soul and ignite your mission. Your journey starts now. Welcome, Shiv, to Soul Mission podcast. It's great having you.
Thank you, Ayah. Let's hope we'll have a good discussion.
Yes, definitely. I'm really excited to delve into your journey and your story. We've obviously spoke previously, and it's such an inspiring story and journey that you've been on. So it'd be lovely to share your journey from the start. I think when you last mentioned that you came to a kind of a self-realization and that journey onto the Himalayas, meeting with the yogis and really starting that self-awareness journey.
Yeah, that's a story which I've been generally repeating in all the podcasts. This looks most interesting for most of the people because generally people are more inspired and influenced by these kind of journeys which are like not very normal. I would say not everybody undertakes these. So yeah, yeah, sorry. I definitely understand the more curiosity about this aspect of my life. But what I feel is more than the journey, the learnings are more important. So, in fact, the content which I'm creating on YouTube is a lot about my own learnings now compared to the journey because out of 133 videos I have, there are just 2-3 videos about my journey because those videos are in 2-3 parts. Otherwise, all my content is about, most of the content is about what I've learned, actually, which I can bring back. But I understand the curiosity people have, and that becomes it becomes very monotonous for me to keep repeating those. But for the benefit of your audience and benefit of everyone, sorry to say that, but this is yeah. So basically, what happened is I had probably some past life journey. We are a soul, and we have something from the past life, which I feel is logical that because if you're a soul and the soul is immortal, the soul keeps moving and keeps taking form in different bodies from time to time. Beyond that, we really don't know much. We don't understand that life and birth, when it happens, how it happens. So probably looking at my happenings, I probably presume that there was something. One of the things which was to be continued in this life was the spiritual search, my search about my own, what we humans are. It is like a part of previous life, and I feel that there was something which was one of the things which was left over from my previous life was to find out about your own self, about what humans are, not about my own thing, because there is nothing called my. It's all about soul. We are all souls. So I'm not trying to find about my own self. I'm only trying to find about what is this human life. So when we talk about my, then it becomes ego. Then we relate to the body. When we don't say my, then we are talking about humanity. We are talking about our species in general. So the moment we say my life, my journey. So then there is ego, because there is nothing called my. There's this my is this body which is perishable, and what is beyond this body, which is immortal, is actually is the soul journey of the soul. So in each journey of the soul, when we take form in different bodies, what are we doing? What is the path, and what are we trying to achieve? What is the goal? What is the purpose of life? What is the purpose of our coming into this body? So so this curiosity started. It started about more than a decade back, somewhere in 2011, while I was working in the corporate and earning a good amount of money, and but it was not giving me. It was not clear to me what exactly I am chasing in this life, and what's the goal. The goal was not known. We were just working, and we knew we have to buy a house, we have to buy a car, and we have to have a car, and we have to maintain that car, and then buy another car, and then replace that. So it was all about replacing material wealth and keep chasing that, so that we can keep replacing that. But what is the goal, and how long will we be able to do that? And with the kind of economic condition and job insecurities in the private sector, it started giving rise to questions. That's where my self-inquiry began. I call this journey as a self-inquiry, because we have to, through self-inquiry, only we can, through introspection and contemplation, only we can find out the truth, because the truth is not held with anybody. The truth is available. It's all there inside. If we talk to our soul, if we connect to our conscience, and we listen to our conscience, and we connect to the consciousness, we will get the answers. If we sincerely seek, truthfully seek, without our ego and logically, we will get answers. So we have to talk to our own self, and we can call it differently, that we are connecting to God. Somebody calls it akashic reading, somebody calls it channelizing, somebody calls it, somebody is sending me a message, somebody says somebody angels are connecting to me. You can give some definition to it, but I don't believe in these definitions. I say it's just simply a self inquiry. Whether somebody is sending you a message, or you are connecting to some higher soul, whatever it is, that we are not very clear about it, but we are getting answers when we do self inquiry. So that's my understanding. So I started doing that, and I started getting many answers, because life teaches you. Life is the biggest book. We don't learn from the book or life. And I started looking into my own life, and everybody has enough things in the life which is good enough to make you question what life is. Because till the time life is going very easy, you don't question about it. Till the time something, uh, till the time you don't get a tough chapter. Till the, when you have a easy subject, then you have a tough subject. So you have to also appear in tough exams. You have to also qualify and grow. So life is a book which has all kind of chapters. It's a mix of good and bad, and the bad is what we call bad is not bad. It is a tough chapter, and there are tough problems which you have to solve. And when you solve, you move to the next, and then we'll get even tougher problems. Sometimes some people get early in life, but we see this life as a physical age. But if you see, this is not somebody awakens. They say I have awakened. Awakening is also kind of a term we use it. Somebody awakens at 20, somebody awakens at 30, somebody at 40, somebody says 50. But it's a journey of soul. We should not actually relate that I have awakened early, I have awakened late. Some people don't awaken in this birth, in this life. Maybe they will awaken in the next. So I also started questioning, and got a lot of answers. So this is self-inquiry is a preparation. We when we study in college and schools, we are preparing to clear exams. So here also we have to study, and if we don't study, we will keep failing. If we understand this, that we also have to study. So I was doing that kind of preparation unknowingly. I was not aware about it. Now I understand that I was doing a preparation, but I was just doing it. It was happening naturally. That's why I say it was a journey from the past lives. That's my logical understanding. So doing that, it happened, and probably it prepared me with some better understanding about life. And I had gone to Saudi Arabia in 2015. I left my job. I was working for Tata Communications, telecom company. I was working in telecom that time, and I went to Saudi Arabia, and I was getting a very good salary, tax free. And but I realized this is not life. I need to be with my family, and at that time Riyadh was a very conservative place, very difficult to live, nothing to. So it was quite a cultural shock. No entertainment, very conservative. 2015, and I fell sick twice, and I didn't know what had happened. It wasn't diagnosed. I had basically gallbladder stones, but it was not diagnosed. So I was little frightened that what the hell is happening, and I think I better go back. So I left a very good job, well-paying job, thousands of dollars a month. I came back, and in 2 months I came back.
That
I
must have
told my
been
wife,
very hard to do for you.
hmm? Say again.
That must have been very hard. But was that a hard decision for you to have made to switch from what is traditionally a successful career to actually doing something that gives you purpose?
I did not left my job to. I continued working in India. When I came back to India, I took up another job. So I joined a company, Juniper Networks. After 6 months, I joined Reliance Jio, another telecom company. And I worked. This was in 2015. I worked till 2019 when I was wanting to quit my corporate job. One was it was very stressful. I had to travel 28 kilometers every day. It was getting onto my health. Living in Mumbai on 19th floor, surrounded by huge buildings, I started feeling suffocated there. I I felt I will fall sick, or probably I'll collapse. I won't survive here if I continue living here in Mumbai in these multi-stored and a lot of construction, a lot of noise. There is so much ambient noise we don't realize in these big cities. Like next to my house was a railway track of local train, and just probably just 300 meters away. But whole day I could not listen to the trains. There was so much ambient noise that you can't even hear the train passing by. Probably late in the night or early morning, 4 o'clock, I could hear the trains. There's so much of ambient noise which we don't realize. And this is a kind of a pollution which is slow poison. So there are so many things to realize. It is not just what we are. Realization is all about how our species is supposed to live. Where should we live? Which is the ideal place? What all is needed for the body and mind? But there are so many things. We are like running like a slave in these big cities. We are slaves of these capitalist politicians and elites. So this realization comes slowly, but so in 2019, I had this opportunity to move to Poland because my wife she got a job there, and I decided. I told her if you settle down, I will also come there, and probably I'll also find a job. And there was some possibility of a job, but that didn't happen, and I went there. And by that time, I had already started taking classes in Europe. In 2018, before I went to Poland in 2019, I had organized two workshops in Budapest because due to my experiences, I had this urge to explore how the yoga is being taught in Europe, and can I take my learnings to Europe and start experiencing that. And I could organize two workshops in Budapest, and it had a very good feedback. And then I had organized in 2019 couple of workshops in Geneva, Brussels, Prague, and then a big training 1 month course in near Barcelona, Costa Dorada. All this was already organized, and it just so happened that my wife went there, and I could quit my job and be there. So I don't have to travel to Europe again and again. Though my daughter lives in Paris, but her house is like a pigeonhole where I don't think I can fit in there if I have to be based out of there. And to live in Paris is very expensive for a long time, maybe for a weekend, so is okay. So
Yeah.
this was an opportunity, probably moon in disguise, which came to move to Warsaw, and I could take those classes. But your question was different. The question was about my spiritual path. So when I came back from Saudi Arabia, which I was mentioning, I did not feel it was good to be making money. I lost the charm of money. Even before that, 2 years before, I was in Jakarta, Indonesia, on a project from Tata. I was doing an audit of a telecom company, then very political, and also I was earning a lot of money because apart from my salary, I was getting some good allowances there, and there were two places where I earned more than my salary, much more.
Mm.
Both the places I realized that money is not going to give you what you need in life. Money is fine, but if you chase a lot of money, somewhere you will crash, somewhere you will collapse, somewhere you will have a burnout, and you are entering a domain which is like full of muck.
Mm.
And so 15 when I left, I came back to India, and I had a very strong calling to go to Rishikesh, which is like a yoga capital of the world. So there was a very strong calling, which I feel difficult to explain. It was not a normal desire to go somewhere. It was a very inner calling to go to that particular place, and I went there, and that was my first trip. I was there for 2 weeks, stayed in one ashram, and started exploring uh, about yogis there, and found one cave where one yogi used to live who died in 1974. His video, Takale Baba's video, is on my channel. I had some interesting experiences there, out of time and space experiences, which subsequently happened in my subsequent trips to Himalayas, because I also went to another place, Devprayag, which is about 70 kilometers from Rishikesh, up in the mountain. In fact, where I lived last year for 3 months in a kind of a forest doing my spiritual practice, sadhana. So finally, I lived there also, and there is one place where I had many experiences, spiritual experiences, out of time and space. These experiences actually take you to in some different dimension, and you 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 feel you don't exist in this world. This world vanishes.
Mm.
This world actually vanishes, and you go
The
into,
whole kind of, sorry, go.
yeah.
The whole kind of idea of money and reaching wealth and being successful and staying in these institutions and working with a company, does that all kind of go? And it's more just you as a human being, as a soul, rather than as someone that needs to be part of this capitalist kind of consumerist society.
Yeah. So that realization happens when the transformation happens, when you are given a taste of that bliss, that this is, if you get that bliss, you won't like to leave that. You will keep chasing that. You realize this is what is needed in life. There's nothing else needed in life once you get the bliss. I had those blissful states many times. In all those experiences, not once, many times. So all those experiences, they were short-lived, maybe for half an hour, 1 hour, on, maybe around that duration, which was good enough to give you know, good enough to let you decide to leave this world, not this to make you realize that what is reality. It's very difficult to say what is reality, because those are the experiences which make you realize that the real world is something else. You should be, your aim is to be in that bliss. So
And how do you, for those that are trying to reach that, those people that are trying to reach that state and that meditative state, and I know that you mentioned that, freeing your mind of all those thoughts and entering that level of bliss, how do people get to that kind of level of self-awareness?
as I told you, maybe I'm not sure, self-inquiry, because what I started unknowingly was self-inquiry. And what is self-inquiry is right question. It's a preparation you have to do. We only know that there is a school and a college, and we don't understand the importance of a school and a college where you have to study for a long period of time about your own self, about humanity, and we don't question anything. We are pushed into a system. The day we realize that we have been fooled, or we have been pushed into a system, is this the system? Is this the right track? What I'm doing is right. We don't question that. We are influenced by various norms and narratives and perception. and some people are influenced so rigid, they become so rigid that they don't even want to question it because they feel questioning what the narratives are is you're not, somebody will say you're not religious, somebody will say you don't follow this, somebody says you don't follow this. But people don't really understand what religion is. People don't understand what humanity is. They can't distinguish between religion and spiritualism. They don't understand, they really don't understand what religion is. Religion is,
Mm.
there's nothing holy about anything. Everything is holy. And religion is nothing which is beyond something which is holy. Religion is just a book of law. It's just a guidance. Whichever religion, it is only guiding you how to live. And I think almost every religion has the same intention. Not almost,
Mm.
every religion has the same intention, same goal. They may be writing something differently. There might be minor differences in the way, or somebody might have missed out something, because these religions are all written by humans only. No God has written any religion actually. He's been written by people only. But we godify everything today in this world, and then we identify ourselves with, we create identities. This is just a social identity which people have created. The idea of being associated to any religion is not about being identifying yourself that I am a Hindu, I am a Christian, I am a Muslim, I am a whatever it is like. So that's being stupid. Like Buddhism, Buddha never made the religion. No, whatever religion, like Hindu, who made the Hindu religion, no one knows. So who made Christianity? Jesus never made Christianity. So people made it. People, we have cults, people follow. So the thing is, uh, it's about self-inquiry. When you have self-inquiry, you get clarity. I was in the Navy, and I remember we used to have those signal communication. We communicate, and we were taught the communications were very crisp, and they were kind of coded. The language was kind of coded. It wasn't like short form. Today, what we do, WhatsApp, we have so many short forms. The signals were short forms. The main, but the main objective was clarity and brevity. And if we have clarity and brevity in our thoughts, thinking, why are we not thinking clearly? Why do we lack clarity? Why are we confused? Why are we indecisive? Because we have been influenced by so many beliefs. Recently, I made a video which will go online. Beliefs and knowledge. What is belief and what is knowledge? If you don't do self-inquiry, you will not get knowledge. You will live on beliefs or the social narratives, or whatever narratives. Your upbringing, your conditioning. Every individual has been conditioned differently in different place, under in different culture. Even if you think, what is culture? I use, people say I am from this culture, I am from that. What is culture? Culture is just a conditioning in a certain geography, and it is kind of widely accepted. So we call it culture. It is like a subset of a religion. Religion says do this, and we try to follow that, and then there is a culture which is coming out of that. But but
Mm.
frankly, there is a deviation from the religion. Then that's why the cultures are coming out. There was no need of a culture. I think there is, probably long time back, there was only one culture, one way of living. And so self-inquiry is something which I was doing, which gave me a lot of answers. So I was developing clarity in my understanding of the reality, and understanding this capitalist controlled life which I was living, and also the influence this materialism has had on people, which has drifted away all the human values. And due to decay of human values amongst people who are highly influenced by materialism and under the influence of background influence of capitalism, people have
Mm.
people don't behave like humans. They become inhumans. People lack trust. People lack faith. People lack caring. All the good human values have got eroded. And with that, can you really, do you think that you exist in a society? What kind of society? It is so toxic. People are moving, they don't know, they are moving with so much of mistrust in their life today. And the reason is, so if the day you realize that you are living in a toxic environment, the day you realize that you are living in an environment which is not going to support you, betrayals can happen. Betrayals are there. Like there have been times when I go through, like recently I've gone through many betrayals. Everywhere there's a betrayal happening. Everywhere there is a
Mm.
letting down. Somebody letting you down. Everywhere people, all that, the bonhomie and the bonding and the community which really existed, what I've seen in my childhood, seems to have vanished actually. It's completely vaporized. And wherever you look, if I travel to villages, wherever I go, I see it's completely broken. People are only trying to survive. I think it's all about survival now and selfish survival. So these questioning, when I was prepared, I realized that I have to bring changes in my life. And that's how I started exploring, and I had those experiences because till the time you yourself are not prepared, you yourself are not seeking, you not get the answers. And when you seek, probably you get grace also. Grace means you get some help from the higher world, and there are some places which probably, which I explained differently. We'll have to have a break now because it will break, and then so what happens is the grace is something like that when you're prepared, uh, like treasure hunt. When you move in a treasure hunt, you get clues, you know. And when you get a clue, you know your intuition develops. Your as you move on this, as you become more aware, it's about raising your awareness, self inquiry, introspection. You get some answers, and you are able to move forward with those clues. And then with that, your ability to discriminate between right and wrong, your intuition, your intellect, everything improves. And your vision is actually, your mind is expanding. You can call it differently. I'm just saying these are different words. Words are have many limitations. If I use some word, you probably interpret it differently. So I'm going to tell this in different ways. So you're raising your awareness. You are becoming more open, actually, open, or you are becoming more aware, or you're raising your consciousness, or you're getting more clarity. Your intuition is improving, your intellect is improving, your uh, intelligence, everything. There's an expansion happening. You can call it mind expansion, in short. So that happens. When that happens, you probably your vision becomes even. You can see further ahead, not physically, but that vision, that becomes your sixth sense develop. You have five senses, probably your sixth sense, whatever we call it, sixth sense, that develops. So there, we don't know the ability of the mind, the brain power, but something is expanding, and your visions are increasing. So, so this is the path, because there's, I don't think there's any other path. I have read one or two books now recently, and then all the scriptures that they all tell that learn experientially, learn through self-inquiry, and all the sages and yogis, they all ultimately say it's your effort. All big sages, I can quote all the biggest sages and lords. They all said learn through self-inquiry. You can go into any faith. I think people don't read the religion, they don't understand the religion. People are fanatic about it. They don't understand. Read any religion. I know Swami Ram, great yogi. He read all the religions and he knew all the religions so well. Whether it is Quran, it is Bible. He knew Bible. He knew the New Testament, the Book of Revelation. He knew the Book of Revelation so well, and he knew all the scriptures in India. And he was a very self-realized yogi, wonderful yogi. I have heard his videos, his lectures are there, and he was in U.S. America for a long time. And he meditated in a cave in the Himalayas for a year. He lived there for a year, and then he came back and he was teaching. So I think you get my answer that it's your own effort. There's nothing else. But we look at many realized souls. I won't say yogi or guru. I'm not defining them. We should not define. There are many souls. There are saints all over the world. There are saints. People don't know. Saint Germain is there. There are some wonderful Sufi saints. There are yogis. There are gurus. Their teachings are very inspiring, and I am very open. I very open. I look at good yogis and saints and souls to probably understand what they're teaching, and it resonates with you. When you have a clarity, it resonates with you. If you don't have a clarity, you don't understand what they're telling.
Yeah. So I think it's about having that deeper understanding of yourself, of the vision of how kind of reaching that higher purpose. And I think a lot of people live on the surface of a lot of things. They'll live their whole life, maybe working in one job, leaving the job, retiring, whatever, and they haven't done anything for themselves. They haven't found that higher purpose or reached that higher level of self-awareness. And I think it's as easy as it is talking about it, it's very hard to get to. And I think, would you agree that it takes time and consistency to reach that level?
Yeah, that's it. I just told you that. Like we have to acquire a degree. It takes us 16
Yeah.
years, and
Wow.
we don't worry about that. But we just don't know uh, this particular path, and this has no priority because materialism is a priority. The modern education is only telling you that earn money. The definition of
Yeah.
success is very different, but nobody talks about who talks about humanity. Who talks about learning about humanity? Is there any school about humanity? No. In India,
Yeah. And I
long time back in India, a couple of centuries back, our methodology of teaching in India was based on this only. But that has been
mm,
completely lost because of different invasions we had. So entire the all the way of teaching it was completely lost. It was completely destroyed, and we lost it. So it's our
yeah.
destiny that we lost some wonderful way of teaching which existed.
And how do you think the definition of happiness has changed over time? Because, as you said before, things had changed, and before the contemporary world began, happiness or the definition of happiness would have been very different to what happiness is now. Because happiness now is probably having a level of success and having this and having that. But I believe and I think that happiness back then would have been a lot more simple and a lot more easy to achieve. But I think at the moment in this kind of world, happiness is seen as something that you need to work really hard to get to. Whereas I think happiness is actually something that is within arm's reach, and it's not this massive uphill journey to get there.
I'll answer to that question about
Yeah.
uh, happiness. You wanted to know the definition of happiness, how the definition is
Yeah.
changed. In fact, you use one word that I'll ask two questions. One is the definition of success is not known to us. That's a social narrative we are living with. The life which is based on money now, money has become very important. Slowly, the capitalists have manipulated us. We got manipulated by the elites. It's not just the capitalists. Capitalists are the main people. In fact, my third book, Social Pandemic, is all about this. How the society has been modified and where it is reached and where it is heading towards. So the capitalists, along with the politicians and the criminals, and now also the media, all these four, and the technology, all these five are driving the society, manipulating the society. So as we got manipulated, and America has been great in marketing. And there is one guy whose name I forget. He was the one who started marketing. He started, in CIA, there was a project for controlling the mind control. So a lot of things started from there. America, marketing, they are too good in marketing. For everything, they have a certificate. For everything, there is a patent. They control all the patents. They make all the certification. They drive all the courses. They drive this world, and I mean that's a big story. So the point is, due to some definition of success, which is based on materialism, was defined, and because of that, we grew up seeing that now. And especially the people who live in these mega cities or all big cities now. Earlier, there was that exposure was not there. After this, social media became in the last decade, the changes have been very rapid because people who are not affected by this mega city life are now seeing everything on their devices, smartphones. So the exposure is too quick and at every corner of the world. So there is a shift towards this glamorized kind of life. And we don't understand that this doesn't give happiness because nobody has taught us what actually give happiness. If you do right questioning, is simple life good or complex life is good? Are we living a complex life? Are we living a simple life? Nobody even thinks this much. They don't know that by doing, studying hard, so hard, if I worked as a farmer, I would have grown wonderful things. But I spent a lot of
Mm.
time, years, in learning something to become a slave of a capitalist, finally. And what will I achieve? Even if I'm in a big senior position, if I work ethically, I won't be able to buy much. I will be able to afford one apartment, nice apartment, and some. But this is a constant chase. Gadgets, cars. I bought 8 cars in my life. Now I don't have a car now. I kept changing my car. I kept changing my car. So it's a constant chase. You are put into a rat race. This is a rat race. And if you say I am not going to run this rat race, you will feel that you are a fool. You will not
Yeah.
accept your own self and not being in the rat race. So everybody is running in the rat race. So you feel I should also run. There are those who don't run that rat race. There are very few, and they are happy. If you go to those people, they are happy. You probably if you go to your grandmom, grandparent, they're still happy because their thinking is very different. They are not influenced by this materialism. They have lived entire life very differently. Their thought process is very different. But today we are under such influence that we've forgotten what is happiness. This is the whole problem.
That's really interesting you say that, because for me, I always dreamt of working in the corporate world. I didn't really know what it was, but I remember thinking that's where the really successful people work, and that's where everyone needs to be in the corporate world and work your way up. And I had this like drive that I wouldn't be anything if I don't strive to be in the corporate world, and that is the gem for everything. And I came to the realization that that is the rat race, and that is where you're swallowed up and you're also disposable. I mean, I remember reading this quote saying that if anyone in the corporate world or in, you know, a big company or whatnot was to be fired or were to pass away, there would be a job interview for that same role the next week. Like, you're so disposable, there's nothing more behind it. But obviously many people work in the corporate world, but the bigger picture of it is that people devote their lives and their souls to this, and they don't ever find anything beyond that, beyond work and beyond working for this huge company. And I think that's a really interesting point to make as well.
Yeah, corporate world is a wage slavery which you don't realize. The bigger position you are in, the bigger you're more inside that muck. You're more inside the
Yeah.
slush, and the kind of life you have to just ask a very simple question: is it guy who's working 12 hours in a day and who's constantly manipulating and he's highly political and he's also not competent enough to be in that position? Is he really happy?
Mm.
You'll get the answer. You don't have to ask anyone. You have to ask this question: are these guys really happy? Who's happy? Like I have someone in my building who lives on the fifth floor, sixth floor. He's very rich, very, very rich. And whenever I see him, he's got a kind of a personality. Though he has changed now. He's a nice guy, but obviously with so much money, he he appeared differently. And I was just looking at the security guy in my building, and I just got this idea. I thought, who is more happy? Is this guy with so many coupes, BMW coupe, BMW coupe, and Jaguar coupe, and all those cars? Is he really the guy who's happy?
Mm.
Do, can I believe that his mind is at peace? Or is a security guard who just stands there for 12 hours and does nothing? He appears to be more at peace. So
Yeah.
the question is, what are we chasing? Are we chasing? Have we not realized that money doesn't give happiness? Money is points. We have heard this quote: "Money corrupts, power and money corrupts." But how many people understand this? Power and money corrupts. Whoever gets it gets corrupt, because money becomes God. Money is God now.
Yeah.
People change. If you have money, people. If you don't have money, people behave differently. The day you become popular, they'll behave differently.
Yeah, that's interesting. I also feel some people would think that or believe that money actually provides freedom for them to do a lot of things that they want to do. So I think that's one side, and I think the whole idea of money buying happiness is such a deep rooted social value that's never going to change,
Yeah.
because at the same time it can be a blessing and a curse. It's how you're getting your money. You're getting your money by working 17 hours a day and destroying your mental health. But then at the same time, some people, they make money and it gives them that, if they come from impoverished backgrounds, that money has changed their life in the best way possible. So I think the definition's really malleable
Those are
and it's
all
really
paradoxes.
complex.
Those are paradoxes that somebody coming from a
So many paradoxes.
impoverished background has changed their life. I would say, what kind of life you need to live? Not having a $1 million house. $1 million house doesn't change your life. People have so many people have $1 million house, but there's no happiness in the house. The happiness goes away over a period of time. There are egos which goes up. People who what is needed is hygiene. A lot of people live in unhygienic condition, but if you go to the villages, people don't have much. Like I was recently last month, I was in a village in the mountain. I lived there for 3 weeks, and I lived in a traditional house which was made out of mud and stone. So the cost of building those houses is zero. They have land, they grow all the cereals, they grow all the vegetables, and they have all the animal husbandry. I see the hen is yelling, and this guy goes because she's given an egg, and he goes and picks an egg. You get a farm fresh egg. He wants to make something.
It's so simple.
He wants to make something like pakoras. In India, we get this pakoras in gram flour paste, and we fry it, and some vegetable inside. It's like a dumpling, you can say, kind of a dumpling. And so he says, just I will go to the he'll go to the backyard, pick some spinach, pick some flour, cabbage, cauliflower, and he'll make that. It's all fresh. And what else you need? He's living under the sky. There is beautiful sunlight, and there is pure air, pure water flowing from the mountain. You don't need a filter. You don't need a treatment plant. Everything is so natural, like, and life is so simple. Time doesn't move, and you don't feel much hungry. The purity of air and the water is so good that you don't overeat. You don't do snacking. In cities, people are snacking. So I think the definition that if I go to city, I will make money. What do you need money for? I think I've made a video now, or probably I posted something that initially there was a barter system, and even in this village where I was last month, I saw women in the morning. I just got up and I saw some 10 women working in the field. So I wanted to interview them because they were really laughing and talking and working together. So the concept is, if today something is to be done in somebody's field, all the neighboring people will come, and all the women, they all work together. It's not their field, but some activities there in this person's field, so they all come together. Next day, I came to know they were in somebody else's field. So they work like a community. Even if a house
Yeah.
is to be constructed, the whole community comes and construct the house. In 10 days, 15 days, they make the mud house. And if you go to the mud house, it's natural. You feel so nice compared to a house which is made of concrete. In winters, it doesn't become cold. In summers, it doesn't become hot. Inside a mud house, it's wonderful, and you feel connected to the Mother Earth. In these concrete house, I have a concrete. I mean, I live in a concrete house, obviously in Pune. I feel like being in a cage. I am feeling like I'm in a prison, and I'm waiting to go to the mountains, make a house which is more open, and a piece of land. And if you look at these farmers, they all say we are poor. Poverty is in terms of money, but they don't need
Mm.
money. They are just crying. I said, why do you say you're poor? You have so much land. I can't buy so much land. You are a owner of so much of farming land. Give me just 10% of that, and I'll be very happy with that. So they have so much. But people have,
Mm.
they are also seeing the glamour in the city life, and a lot of, almost 80% of the families have migrated to urban areas. It's just 20% who are left in the villages now. When I go to Himalayan villages or any villages, especially Himalayan villages, 80% deserted, migrated. And what are they doing in those cities? They haven't got those kind of qualifications to be in some white collar corporate job. They are blue collar jobs, and they are actually suffering. Like I will tell you, in India, a lot of people go to different countries. Like a lot of people from Ukraine used to work in Poland, and a lot of people from Poland work in UK. So why this migration happens, and what do they do? They really. I know a lot of Indians who are working in Poland. They were going on student visa, and they are doing Uber Eats or in the restaurants, no job, nothing, and they're doing these sundry jobs. And when they go home, they paint a different picture. They don't tell what they are doing. So same is the problem when people go from rural areas within India to some larger cities like Delhi and Dehradun, especially from the mountain region. They, the people in the village really don't know. They'll come with some clothes, new clothes, gifts for people just to impress them that they are doing great. But that's again a wrong perception they're creating, and they're living under a wrong kind of thing. They realize it, but they are in a trap because the glamour in the city is so attractive, the
Mm.
greed and the lust. So people are unable to deny that. It's very difficult to get out of that trap.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. And I want to talk about kind of setbacks and challenges, because obviously these are all mental challenges that people might secretly be dealing with, this conflict in their mind of what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, how to reach this level of whatever they need. But in terms of challenges and kind of setbacks and conflicts, how and on your spiritual journey, how did you ever kind of navigate and overcome things like that, like any kind of mental challenges that were stopping you?
I don't recollect any mental challenges in my life because probably my mind works very differently, and I have, through the self inquiry, I have actually controlled my mind a lot in the last 10 years. But yeah, before that, before 2010, a decade back, I was a perfectionist, and I had to achieve this. I had to meet my responsibilities. So definitely a lot of challenges come in life, but not. I think most people go through it, and one thing is you have to work hard. You have to work hard. You are on a runway. You are on running in this rat race, so you have to run fast. So the only thing is just run faster than the others. So for that you have to put more effort and do whatever possible within your ideologies. Like I'm not a bootlicker. I don't do those kind of things, but I work hard. I deliver my uh, targets to perfection, and that was something very personal to me. Like what I do as a loyal person, and I have to uh, do it well with the intention that I'm doing for somebody else, as a joy of giving. When you do for somebody else, whatever you do, and it gives them that, it meets that goal. When you're a selfless person, so you are thinking of others first. For the task you're doing is meant for somebody else. If you're working in a company, you're making a product, you're making for somebody else. If you're only thinking about your own growth, your salary increment, or a promotion, which I never did. I never thought about my salary increment. I never thought about promotion. My focus was not. I was never career minded. My focus was very clear that I have to earn and meet my family responsibilities. That was my goal, because my prime responsibility is my family. I have to fund my daughter's education abroad probably. I have to provide these kind of material comforts to my family. That was my goal. So to do that, a lot of hard work is needed. But still, when you're trying to please, when you're trying to meet those commitments, and people see you that this person is capable of meeting all commitments, then the expectations go up. When the expectations, you're raising the expectation of people who are also in the materialistic trap, and somewhere it is going to clash. Somewhere it is going to trap you. Somewhere it is going to get you down. Somewhere it will hit you, because this is a blind race, and you are running it together with your family and with other people who also have expectation. Like I can quote one of my uncle told. I said I want to leave my job. He said, "Don't leave. You get jobs for people." I mean, like I did help a lot of people in getting jobs. So they thought this guy can get jobs, find jobs for people and all. So they said, "No, don't leave, don't leave." So they have a different expectation.
Yeah.
And when you are in a position, people also like to associate with you. They will take selfie with you. Or I mean, if you go in some kind of gatherings, even if it's a family gathering, in a marriage function, you become like a star in the place, and that's all fake. When you realize all this is fake, when you realize all this is fake, if you don't, then it's your ego. If you are not able to see through the veil of ignorance, your ego will, people are there to boost your ego. It's up to you. And this something ego, I never liked being praised. That was there from pretty young age. I still remember my parents praised me when I got through in my engineering, and I didn't. Whenever they praised me, I didn't like it, and I told them, I don't like, don't praise me. This is my job. So I was somehow, maybe from my previous work, probably had worked on my ego, and I didn't like. I could see through those praises, but that time I did not really bother. But later on, situations did come where people start trying to exploit you. There are people who try to exploit you, and when that exploitation happens, manipulations happen, and also when you're doing well, people are there to bring you down from all directions, from everywhere. People start competing with you. If I buy a car, they will also buy a car. If I buy another car, they will buy another car. So I could see people are not taking inspiration from me, but they're trying to compete with me. So when I saw all these fake things happening, how how is the society, the community in which you exist, is responding to what you're doing and what kind of actions you're doing, then you realize that you are in a thick of shit. Where have you reached is actually a piece of shit. Everybody is fake around you. And then the chain, then the whole chain starts. Once you realize this, that what you're chasing, you are like a wild goose chase. You're like a donkey who doesn't know what you're chasing. You are mesmerized by all the false kind of image which is getting created, the false kind of acknowledgement, the fake acknowledgement, the fake acceptance, and you feel if you don't discriminate that, then you are the biggest fool. And if you can discriminate that, this is all fake. This is not based on humanity. This is not based on, there's no real caring. It's all transactional. It's all materialistic. This today, all everything is materialistic, transactional today. Who will be there in need when you really need? Nobody. And things can change. Like if today I am down, tomorrow I'll be up. And when I'm up, recently last year I met one famous actress. She's a politician. She's a member of parliament. Hima Malini ji. She's a great dancer. I met her in Vrindavan, presented my books to her, and she took my photograph. She took the photograph of the books along with me. I just posted that photo on my social media, wherever it was. And some people who had kind of disconnected with me, they tried to connect back with me, thinking this guy is going to become famous. So, in fact, I sent my books to Virat Kohli also. I know Virat Kohli's wife's parents. So, you know the cricketer, famous cricketer, Virat Kohli.
I don't know him.
Yeah, so he's a famous cricketer. He's a big shot in cricket world.
Yeah.
So his wife's parents know me. I know through someone. So I send my books to him also because he does meditation. So the thing is that when you change, when you go in this materialistic world up and down, people also change, and that's a fact. That's a fact. I have a friend who
Yeah,
works in, yeah, sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
I have a friend who works in Google in US, and I remember his words. I hardly speak to him rarely. Once he sent me a message where we were exchanging some messages, and he said, "Just follow the system. Don't tinker with it. If you tinker with the system, just accept whatever is thrown on you, and you will remain peaceful." so, so a lot of people think like that. They are
Yeah,
just not happy. They are not happy from inside, but they feel there is no way out. They don't want to
yeah,
break that system.
yeah. It's almost like it's too there would be too much to lose. But I remember speaking to my mentor, and I think a lot of things that people like entrepreneurs, people that actually say, I'm not going to stick to this, I'm going to create my own startup, or I'm not going to, I'm going to start something with myself, I'm going to risk it and start from the scratch. Those are the people that go against that status quo and are brave enough to take those risks and reap the rewards whether they come or not. But I think in this day and age, things like entrepreneurs and solo entrepreneurs, that's really rising at the moment. And I think that's a lot of people realizing that this traditional way of life, where you're going to school, you're working really hard to get into a good university, you're working really hard to get into a good job, is the way to live. And then you retire at whatever age. But a lot of people now, I believe, are realizing that that isn't always the way to go. And you can leave school at whatever age and start your own company and hope that that goes somewhere, or just take that risk and not believe that this really structured way of life is the way to live and will bring you happiness and success.
Yeah, this is a narrative pushed upon by the capitalists. They
Yeah,
want slaves, so they created this system of education, and they created this perception that if you study well, you will make a good life. But what is good life
yeah,
that we have not understood? And look at all those, most of the capitalists, how many of them have studied? A lot of these capitalists, they won't even get admission if they appear in those real competition. The competition which I gave for engineering, I can tell you most of the capitalists will not get through. But they they
mm,
they are there because of not that they got educated, but what they do, they hire educated people. They need educated slaves, and the whole this paradox about being educated is not to. The idea of education is just that I gain knowledge. Your
yeah,
idea of education is not that just I need to do work. And what kind of knowledge is needed? We don't take the knowledge which is needed for the humanity. We are seeking some knowledge. Scientists, if you see most of the scientists, what they discovered, and most of the inventions have been misused. So,
mm,
but the scientists, they were like philosophers. They did something worthwhile for the society, but it got misused. We have a tendency to misuse everything. In this particular age era of in which we are existing, there is a tendency to misuse everything, and education is misused. The whole idea of education, of living a successful life, the whole idea of successful, they've created this narrative successful.
it's a complete social construct. That's what it is. And I wonder what a society would be like and how many more kind of mentally healthy, well-rounded, spiritually aware people would be like if kids were taught things within school, like how to be kind of like how to be spiritually awake, how to be conscious of your emotions, how to be, if that was taught in schools to like 4-year-olds for the rest of their school duration, how as an adult, how different it would be compared to what our education system's like now and what we're taught now.
Yeah, so schools. Recently, I met somebody last month, 2 months back. There's one spiritual guru, spiritual religious leader. We have some system set up by Adi Shankaracharya ji. There are Shankaracharyas who are the Hindu religious leaders. There are four of them in four directions. So he had come to Pune, and I asked him the question which I asked him: what is your solution for ensuring that spirituality comes to this part of the education? He had no answer. So
Mm.
the government doesn't want it. The politicians, they are the elites, they are the corrupts. They don't want people to realize the reality. The capitalism failed, the politicians will fail. Who are the politicians who are ruling the country? They're all crooks. You think they want educated people? They are
Mm.
intentionally dividing the society. They've created laws. What is happening today? What is success? There's 80% divorce rate everywhere. What is success? The society is completely divided. Where are we heading? We start with prenups. We start with contract marriage. We start on a foundation of mistrust. So where is the trust? And why has this been created? The laws which the government has created, the politicians have created, we don't know the sinister designs which are driven by these politicians. And it is not driven by politicians, it is driven by the capitalists. All these wars. What is the reason for war? It's just the military industrial complex in the US. They are creating all the wars. They have created narratives. So many years back, all these countries in the Middle East were so peaceful. Suddenly they have been designed as something. They looted Africa. Now Africa is realizing, getting up, raising their voice. But what these countries did, what did France do? Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni told very clearly to friends that you looted those countries. I know a friend in Brussels whose studio had a workshop. She said, "Yeah, we looted them, and now we are facing the, you know, redeeming for that." So you go and savage countries which are simple people. You savage them. They have mineral wealth. You have developed guns. So what happened in industrial revolution? Who got the guns? They started imperialism. If you look at imperialism, imperialism is the trigger of all the mother of all problems. And imperialism, capitalism came, industrialization came, imperialism came, and this has been happening historically all over the world. We don't, I mean, there's no one to be blamed, but these social changes happen. This is a illusionary world. We have to understand that we should go out of the system. What I realize that I have to go out of the system. If somebody increases the price of fuel, I should stop using I should get out of the system. I will not use a car. I will travel by
Mm.
public transport. Or I will go to some place where there's no public transport needed. If I go to a mountain village, I don't need a public transport.
Mm.
I walk 2 3 hours every day. It's very healthy for me. I can do some work in the field. I like growing things. I will love to do farming. I love to grow. My aim is that in my society there are so many trees, but not a single tree is fruit tree. Why don't they grow fruit trees? I get this thought, why don't they grow fruit trees? Why all these fruit trees are of no value? Grow a
Mm.
fruit forest. Grow a fruit forest. We have so much land. We are all parasites. Actually, we become parasites. All educated people have become parasites. We are not producers. We have become full consumers. And we feel that's the only way of success. And we are chasing money. And that money is controlled by capitalists. So we become slaves. Without realizing, we have gone into a trap. It's like a rat trap where you put a ball, something inside that cage, and the rat goes inside and the door is closed. We are like that. We have a carrot dangling of money. We think money runs the whole show. We are not producers. So,
Yeah.
as you said, that how can you unplug from this? Sometimes you can't unplug from this. Sometimes you can't because so many times I thought I should get out of this system, but sometimes it is not possible. Now you're running this system. You have to send your daughter for education. You have to feed your family, and suddenly you can't stop this because you can't suddenly jump off the runway, but you can plan. You can plan an exit somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I remember seeing online a picture of a man surrounded by his wife and his kids, and then a picture of a man surrounded by like new cars and a new house. And the question was, which man is richer? And obviously the philosophical answer was the man who had his family around him, who didn't have much money, but who had his family around him and his basic needs was richer than the man that had the materialistically more better things.
Yeah,
So I think that's an interesting way to perspective to look at things as well. is what does rich mean? You know, you can be rich in family and health, having family, having friends, having a community.
So this is the right kind of question you have to do. One is, what is rich? Who's rich? Who's got
Mm,
more money or who's got more wisdom? Who's rich?
yeah.
So a person with
Wisdom.
knowledge and wisdom is rich. And I don't
Yeah.
think you'll find somebody who has both. So somebody can say both, money and wisdom both, but that's rare. Anybody who
Yeah.
gets wisdom will leave the money, will give away the money.
That's
And
a very interesting way to
and
look at
another
it.
thing is, if by having a Porsche or a Lamborghini or not having it, what state of mind you will be, and what state of mind you will be in if you don't have a family. Suppose you have no family, you are alone. His
Mm.
loneliness will be more horrible than not having a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
For
I mean,
anyone,
there was a study that was taken place and it says people's life expectancy actually lowers if they are lonely.
yes, mental health issue, loneliness. So, what's more important, people or what you call that, things?
People or things, yeah.
Yeah, commodity. And now we have commoditized even people. We look at people
Yeah.
as a commodity. We look at man as a ATM machine. We look at woman as a sex object. We have commoditized everything. Capitalists have completely changed the femininity of the woman. They have become like a piece of display. Man has become a piece of just a machine which has to churn out something, and the man has been made to chase a woman. So he runs after money, and he runs after the woman, and woman runs after need money. So it's a trap. If you see, they have been put into a trap, and then it breaks. It's a very
Yeah.
deadly trap we have been thrown into, and very difficult if there are two people, partners, boy and a girl. Even one of them doesn't realize this, then there's a problem.
Mm. And how would, in a hypothetical world, what would need to happen to society for everyone to have this mindset and have that deep inner awareness and peace and understanding and like kind of existentialism?
Yeah, this is again a problem. Like it's like a treasure hunt. I said it takes time to. It's like a game of snake and ladder. In another podcast with this lady in NASA, I was talking to a space scientist. I told her this, gave the same example. It's like game of snakes and ladders. I don't know if you've heard that game. It is a board game, and the dice you play. So sometimes you reach a mouth of the snake, so you go down, and sometimes you get a ladder, you go up. So there is a constant struggle to. So the only way is to self-inquiry, which no one knows, nobody tells. There is nobody guiding this. Now the problem here is, this is a very good question. In fact, somebody asked me when I wrote this book. I said, because the subtitle of my book is A Terminally Ill Modern Society. So that person asked me, is it possible to reverse it? I said, everything is possible, but do we have the possibility here now? Is it practically possible? Who will educate the people? Who will give this guidance? Because today, what is happening is, when we look for spiritual, when we want to, when we are looking for answers, we suppose try to look around into the spiritual world, and the spiritual world is another problem. It's another paradox, because that's also become a business, because there is a demand. When there is a demand for finding the truth, so somebody is selling yoga, somebody is selling meditation, somebody is selling guided meditation. I was just today talking to YouTube about my channel, and I told this channel makes crap of meditation, and he's got 20 million views. So I was just discussing that. So guided meditation, nothing, and 20 million views. So the social media doesn't know what to show. How to reach out is the problem. Like my personal desire is that if I can reach out, the whole idea is about changing the mindsets. Whole idea is to give right thing people, the right knowledge. And so many people will not accept what I'm talking. They don't want to accept, because they are so thick into that materialistic life, that they feel by doing some kind of meditation, some technique, going to some guru or attending some courses, that should be good enough to to make them little bit happy. They don't know what happiness is also. They are not even searching for the definition of happiness because they are so much deeply entrenched into this materialistic society that if you try to talk sense to them, as they say that don't try to teach make something good to a fool. A fool can be only fooled. So for to
Mm.
aware, make a fool aware, a lot of people are fooled. Like, in fact, I asked this question in my classes: what is the percentage of people who are fools in this world? So everybody has almost the same answer. So how do you awaken those masses who are already under the trap of fake gurus, fake people, fake healers, fake certified coaches? America is filled with fake certified coaches. I am a certified therapist. I am a certified. Who's certifying it? God is certified you or what? Who certified you? Why should somebody certify you? What? I mean, there are courses offered. People are doing courses, and there is a business running around it. Some people have been able to market themselves, and they are making their livelihood with that. But is there a social aspect to it? Are they is the prime objective to really give some benefit, or it's just making money? So people are making money. There are so many people who are running podcasts. They straight away tell you have to invest so much money because I have to do SEO optimization. I have a team, so pay $200. So some people who have become big, they are even charging and they're making more and more money. Like there's greed. So the answer to your question is how do we change this? It's very difficult. It's not easy. It's very
Mm.
difficult because somewhere you have to get an audience. There have been some gurus who had good audience and they could bring changes in those limited number of people to a large extent.